Welcome back to the Phoenix College Athletic Podcast. I'm Coach Cameron. I'll be your host for episode 18, and I have two special guests on with us today. One in Jenn Nez, and two in Jimmy Berlin. Jenn Nez deals with our athletic eligibility and compliance, and Jimmy deals with student advisement. Between the two, they are the backbone of the athletic department. And with no further ado, let's bring on Jimmy, followed by Jenn, and welcome to the podcast. Jimmy Berlin, thanks for joining the Phoenix College Athletic Podcast. We appreciate you taking your time out of your busy day, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you for having me. This is fun.
Yeah. So I was going over your LinkedIn, and I had no
Oh
idea.
no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to update it.
Oh yeah.
No. I saw that you're a Phoenix College Bear. You're an alumni.
I am. I actually went to school here in the 1970s, you know. And I loved Phoenix College, so that was a big part of the reason when I actually was looking for work, I came back to Phoenix College, but I went out of state to get my bachelor's and then my master's. So, yeah.
Where is Union Institute University?
Yep, I did Norwich University, which was really an interesting place to go because it was partly liberal arts and partly military. So you got a really interesting mix of students, you know. And then Vermont College, which was a really good liberal arts college. So I got my bachelor's in English there. Yeah.
And then you went on to Union Institute University,
Uh huh.
get your
hmm
master's.
Yeah, Union Institute University, and that's was part of Norwich, which was that was that military liberal arts thing. Yeah.
So when you were here at Phoenix College as a student, uh, what years in the 70s?
Oh, I just
The reason I ask is because softball
yeah.
softball won a
Oh,
national title in 1979.
oh, yeah, I do remember that, but I don't think I wasn't here in '79. I was earlier in the '70s.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
I'd
welcome
have to look
back.
at my transcript to be honest. I'd really have to look at my transcript. Yeah.
So besides being here as a student, when you came back to work for Phoenix College, how long have you worked at Phoenix College?
I started adjuncting here. I was working for the state at the time for ADOT and working on my master's. And I started as an adjunct here in 2000. So I have taught English and creative writing, and and then I became an advisor, and I really loved the advising. That was really my niche when I got in there.
Yeah, no, we love you in athletics for your advisement skills. You're helping a lot of student athletes that we're dealing with. Um, so, what's your role within athletics?
I'm one of the athletic advisors, and so I work with Jenn Nez. Bless her. I'm so glad and really, and grateful that she's there. But I work with Jenn Nez, and we get the students, and she's really good because she has access, she gets matriculation, all that good stuff. Basically, I'm academic. I am the person that you come to get the correct classes for what you want to do. And we work really hard to help students get exactly what they want as efficiently and effectively as possible. We're the ones who know what course sequencing is, what the degree designations are, what program prerequisites are. And so to get your classes for each semester, students come to me.
Yes. When I'm recruiting student athletes, future student athletes for Phoenix College, um, I throw out, you know, Jimmy Berlin and Jenn Nez. I'm like, they're going to take care of you, and this is why. Um, can you kind of explain the difference between dealing with a student athlete versus someone that's just coming to school and just trying to get their degree and transferring?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
Student athletes, to be really honest, a lot of times they're dealing with issues that other students don't have to deal with. And they have to keep their academics up. They have to schedule time very effectively. Time management is part of that, how to be successful as a student. And for athletes, that's really important. Um, Also, a lot of them are looking, to perform really well and to have universities take a look at what they're doing and offer to pick them up. So they're really looking to get um, their AJEC as effectively and quick, and efficiently as they can, so that if they get an offer and they want to transfer, they can do that. So, so I put most athletes, unless they're really adamant about a specific degree, I put most athletes on an Associate of Arts, because the Associate of Arts is rigorous, but it's also very flexible, and it can be designed to go in almost any career direction you want. So for athletes, that's kind of a given, you know. So there are issues for athletes that other students don't have to, that other students aren't really dealing with. And also, to recruitment is a big part of that. When are they recruited? What are they coming in with? Do they have transfer credits? A lot of things like that.
And it's really unlimited for, I mean, the amount of conversations that we have to have about each student athlete, because they're all different, because sometimes they're a 4.24 where they come from a university and they come here and they have to graduate to go back to Division One. How many semesters have been in school, and whether they need to go part-time or full-time, so we don't affect their eligibility. It's really between you, Jen, the athletic director. It's a big team that we have to come together and really have a lot of conversations about, to make sure that we do what's best for the student, to make sure they can transfer how they need to transfer. So there's it could be, the whole podcast could be talking about every situation that they're all different.
There are so many variables. There's a lot of variables they're having to juggle. And Jenn Nez is really good with she understands all of the matriculation issues. She also has access, and she's an eligibility. She knows everything there is to know about eligibility. So
we're gonna have Jen on a little bit later, and we're gonna be talking about eligibility specifically. But what's your favorite part with working with student athletes?
I just like them because they're motivated. I like them because they have high energy. They have goals that they're really attempting. They have things that they're really focused on. They're passionate about their sports. There are a lot of moving parts. So as far as they're a little bit high maintenance, but I don't mind that. I really don't mind it, because they do have so many moving parts. But I can always tell if a student is calling me ma'am, especially the males, but yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I go, you're an athlete, aren't you? So they're very polite, and I really enjoy working with them.
No, that's certainly the truth when you're dealing with this student athlete. One student athlete we had, I don't know if you worked with him, Ariel Aguas. I don't know if you worked with him.
I'm not sure. If I look him up, though, I'll have notes in there if I did. Yeah.
So Ariel was one of those students. He played for me for the men's soccer team, and he was always in my office, and I hate to use this word, but he was always bugging me, and he wouldn't leave until the task was accomplished. And he would be in my office, I swear, like 2 hours, just sitting there waiting for me to get onto his. Mind you, I'm dealing with 30 different athletes at the same time. It seems everyone has a different problem, and he would just wait, would wait forever until things were done. But he graduated from PC with a 4.0. He currently has a 4.0 at Grand Canyon University. He's the captain at Grand Canyon University, and it's that kind of drive that I really enjoy in a lot of the students. You want them to bug you. That you like that kind of motivation. It takes your days and all those things, but it's worth it if they're making something of themselves. So.
Oh yeah, and I've had athletes stop me in the hallway to tell me, that they got an offer, they got picked up, and they're very excited about it. I really do enjoy that.
So moving on, let's talk about how you can be successful at Phoenix College. What would you say if you would give advice to students coming to PC, whether they're athlete or non-athlete? How can they be successful entering Phoenix College?
Yeah. I would say check in with your advisor, on a regular basis, check in with your advisor, but also too, time management is an important thing, and I like athletes because they already know that. You know, time management is really important when you're juggling a lot of different things. So start early. I mean, that's what I tell students. Try not to put things off. Like right now is priority enrollment. Open enrollment's coming up, and students are really motivating them, and they're doing it. But a lot of times, students wait until the last minute, and then you start having real issues. So doing things early, and having like goals that you want to meet, and benchmarks with those goals, and actually, don't just set it up. Actually work, your plans and your goals, and you'll get where you want to go.
So I have a lot of student athletes. I have 31 coming in full time this next spring, which is going to be a lot of work for a lot of people, including
Yeah.
yourself. Um, what? How would you get registered today in this new online, hybrid kind of registration going on?
Mm.
What would you suggest them to do to get registered now during this priority registration for the spring?
If they're coming in, then they want to have, okay, so if they're coming into the system, they want to have high school transcripts, and if they have college transcripts or credits they're bringing in, they want to have that stuff available. You don't want to have to at the last minute try to get a hold of some other institution to get stuff transferred in. So they want to have, um, depending on their age, there's certain. So number one, find out what documentation you need, and then work through. And I have to pat Phoenix College on the back because we've really done a good job of creating online remote services for student services for all the students. So students are able to get in contact with people in all these different departments to help them navigate the system. So admissions and records is, students can get a hold of them and find out what types of things they need. Financial aid, they can get a hold of a specific financial aid person to find out what their status is and what they need to do, if there's any paperwork they need to get in. So all of those matriculation issues can really create potholes, for students. So if they start early, work with admissions, talk to your advisor, talk to Jen. She's really good with matriculation. Get into the system and get matriculated so that when it comes time to register for classes, that's all you have to focus on. Admissions and records, financial aid, those two service departments are important. And there is links in the Phoenix College homepage that will take you to those remote services, and you can just get right in there.
Yeah, and I like their the bot they have where you can ask a question and it'll take you to someone live that can help you process during the hours of operation.
Yeah.
So real quick, a question about the getting copies of your transcripts. Can you literally just have a screenshot of it and email it over to your advisor or someone in Mission?
You can. You want to have an official copy coming in, and they do have a fax for that, so that it can be put in your system. So it can be put in our system. But if you're working with an advisor like me, if I can just see an unofficial copy of it, and you can take it and take a picture of it and email it to me, I can use that to put you in the classes that you need to be in. And I can use it because we have a couple of different types of placement. High school GPAs is one, and then of course placement test scores. But I can look at at your GPA that's on your high school transcript, and I can use that to override and put you in the classes that you need. Even if you're still waiting for paperwork to process and get posted.
Yeah. Most importantly, it's online. It's available. And if you really need help with someone, just all you have to do is call our phone number. What is 602-285
7777. Yep. And they can connect you up to anybody. And I have to say that I am not a online kind of person. That's not really my generation. But I've learned an awful lot from this particular period that we're having to go through. And I'm real happy with some of the services, the way things have come out.
Yeah, and a lot of people have adapted. I'm not. I know I do a podcast and stuff, but I don't like the online world at all. I like face to face, person to person.
Yeah.
That's what I'm used to, and so it is difficult for me. That's how I prefer it, especially dealing with student athletes. But if you're willing to put in the time, and there's time regardless of what format you choose, it'll be accomplished. You just got to be kind of like what I said about Ariel. You just got to be a pest until you get what you want, and you'll get what you want.
Yeah.
You just have to go for it.
And a lot of these young people, they're so much better with the technology than I am. They're doing everything on their phones. And I'm going like, are you at a computer? I'm on my phone, you know.
That's always been confusing for me.
Yes.
Like go to the library and get a computer. I'm right here. Like, what? That's on a computer. Yes, it is. Okay.
Yes, it is. Okay, yeah. And I'm going like, I use my phone as a phone, you know.
Well, Jim, last question for you, Jimmy. What is your fondest memory in athletics at PC?
I love going to the games. You know, I have a couple of those. You know, really good memories of stuff that happened. And then also too, I think being stopped in the hallway and having them, athletes be excited to tell me what's going on and what their next steps are, and being called ma'am. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yeah. So.
Well, we appreciate you, Jimmy. You're invaluable to our program, and I'll be sharing this podcast with my whole soccer team that haven't really met you other than over the phone and email, and to get a good idea of who you are. You're very important to Phoenix College as a whole, and definitely to athletics. We appreciate you and all that you do for athletics. So thank you so much for coming on. We appreciate you.
David, thank you for inviting me. I really got a kick out of it.
Okay. We'll have you back on, I'm sure.
Okay. Right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Oh. That was Jimmy Berlin. And Jimmy, just hold on one second. I'm just going to pause it, and then we'll close up together. But that's Jimmy Berlin. Thank you so much for coming on.
Bye-bye, everybody.
And now we're welcoming Jennifer Nez from Missions and Records. She's our compliance officer. She deals with all the many athletic procedures that we have to deal with to be eligible. So, Jennifer, thank you for coming on. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on the podcast, Dave.
No,
appreciate it.
We appreciate having you on. You're very important to the athletic department. So important that you kind of help us with you definitely help us with the process to make sure our student athletes are athletically eligible. And many more things about that. But before we talk about that, let's talk a little bit about you. I heard you were a basketball player. KK told me you're a basketball player. You played?
Yes, I played since fourth grade, I believe. I've been playing, and it's just one of my passions. Played basketball, played volleyball, and that's about it. I mean, I loved basketball so much, but ended up tearing up my ACL in college during a basketball tournament, and so I haven't played since. So I've had 3 knee surgeries on my left knee.
Oh,
jeez. Yeah.
So the technology as far as the science behind fixing knees are a lot different today than it was when we were growing up. So I'm sorry to hear that. No one wants bad knees, and that's not a good thing. Speaking of bad knees, you offer. I know you do within campus. You do this walking program for fitness. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
So I've been on the wellness committee since August of 2009. So I've served on the committee for 11 years, and I've been a committee chair or co-chair for the past 3 years. And so just because of my energy and what I've always wanted to contribute to employees' wellness, I've been able to stay with the committee for so long. And just, I have so many ideas. I had so many ideas when I came on board, to where I was able to implement and create something called the Bare Souls Walking Program on campus. And so it was an idea, but then it blew up. And so now at one point we had probably the whole math department walking. I even had some athletic coaches out on the track walking. It's something to get people out of their from work to take 15 minutes, 20 minutes to go walk. And incentives from the Wellness Committee have helped increase the participation in that as well.
Yeah, I always see, when we were open before COVID, I would always see people walking, and you're leading the charge. I seen our president was walking, previous president, Dr. Saleh. She was a big walker with you guys. I remember seeing her on the track. And I'm getting to that point. I'm running a lot, but it's hurting so bad, Jen.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna have
I
to start
understand.
just
I understand.
transition to walking.
That's why these walking groups were offered. I mean, you could go at your own pace as long as you were out there for 1 mile. We offered you one bear buck, and so the incentive for walking with a leader, I recruited leaders from all over campus, faculty members, staff members, even a coach at one point, to lead a walk around campus. And we had 3 routes. We had the neighborhood walk, which you would walk around the neighborhood along, I believe, 11th Avenue, or you would walk. And then the second route would be around campus. And the third route you would be able to participate in would be on the track, would be 4 laps around the track. And so for each walk, it would be a mile. And so you would get a bear buck from your leader. So the incentive was to, or is to collect at least 20 of those bucks and trade those in to get movie tickets, a pair of movie tickets from me from the Wellness Committee. So that's the bonus of getting out to walk for this program.
I had no idea there was bear bucks involved.
Yeah, there are bear bucks. Actually, I think I have one here. Let me get that out. This is what they look like here.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I designed these little bear bucks, but when you do go walk, when the program is able to be active again, then those bear bucks are given out by your leaders or your walkers, or your leaders.
I will participate once we come back. I'm going to participate in anything I can when we get back to Phoenix College, but I definitely want to participate in the walking program.
Oh yeah, it's very active because I need walkers from different areas and at different times, because not everybody can make the 7:30 a.m. walk on a track,
right,
or not everybody can make the 12 o'clock noon neighborhood walk. So if you can offer a walk on campus during your time, then I'm all open about it, and I'll make you a leader. And people, that just gives more opportunity for employees on campus to get out and walk.
I'll walk at 6 a.m. I'll get the
There
early risers. I'll start the early risers for you.
There
I'll
are,
be there
believe
anyways.
it or not, there are people that do that, that have asked to walk earlier, but my earliest I could offer was 7:30.
Yeah, I'm all about early rising just because it's good for our student athletes to get used to that.
Yeah, I understand.
How long have you been at Phoenix College, Jennifer?
I've been here for 17 years, and I came out here from Oklahoma, from the University of Oklahoma. I used to work with the University of Oklahoma in their student life and leadership office in the McNair Scholars Program. So I had some experience coming out here to work for the college.
The Sooners, huh?
That's right. I'm a big avid Sooner fan. That's where I went to school.
My last podcast was with Krista Feniger, and she went to she was a Sooner.
Yeah,
for a year.
That's right. We connected when she was here. I know she worked in the fitness center and then softball. Yeah, I know who she is.
So let's. I'm going to be sharing this podcast to all the student athletes, in particular men's soccer. I definitely want them to put a face on what you do. So explain the process of your role. What do you do for athletics? You're obviously you deal with eligibility. Can you kind of explain what the process is when student athletes are working with you?
Sure. Well, first of all, the background on student athletes and working with student athletes, I started in 2013 when the athletic director recruited me as the first athletics student success coach. And so I worked for 3 years as a success coach for the athletes. And at that point, it was just basically monitoring the progress of the student athlete and making sure that they were doing well in the classroom, as well as juggling their schedules for practice, games, everything that entails being a student athlete. Um, but for now, after that, I was recruited to come to admissions and records to be the eligibility specialist. So now I do eligibility and compliance for the athletic department as well as for the college. I also work in the admissions office, so that's I'm juggling two roles here. Um, so when a student athlete comes on campus, my role is to, with for eligibility, is to get your information and to, um, I guess, decide your eligibility from the time you get on campus, from semester to semester, whether it be a first year or first season athlete or a second season athlete, a transfer athlete, all that information that incorporates eligibility, I have to, um, I guess, calculate everything that you've done from the time you left high school. From the time you left high school to the time that you want to play and actually participate in and compete. So you could take some time off from high school. I would have to know what you did during that time you took off from high school. But straight from high school, I would have to know, we'd have to look at your high school transcripts, um, be able to make sure you're enrolled in the correct amount of credit hours for the semester, and also making sure you have the proper GPA to participate.
And it's a tedious job. And so there's an affidavit that you send out. You just emailed us one that we have to get to our student athletes to make sure they fill that out. And the one thing I would have to uh, educate our student athletes, I'm like, you have to take this serious. Don't just scribble fast as you can. Be detailed in how you write. Print it in a way that's legible, because you're going to have to decipher what that is. And I've seen a lot of them, and I apologize in the past. I've sent you stacks that are not legible as the way they should be, and I apologize for that now. But how important it is to have that form filled out correctly? What's your experience with
Oh
that?
my gosh, that is what starts a formal eligibility check for myself. That gives me the important information, the crucial information I need, your date of birth, um, whether I need to know if you have two last names. I mean, sometimes I can't understand. I need to know what's the first and what's the last name, social security number, student ID number. I need to know, be able to read everything and understand what you're trying to tell me. I need to know what year you graduated. If you have a high school diploma or a GED, that information is very critical in starting the eligibility process, because that's what starts. That gives me all the information I need to do research on. So at that point, if I can read everything, I start doing my research. I start gathering information, documents. I have to gather information from your high school, an official transcript I will need from your high school. I will need, if you're a transfer student from another college, I'll need all the transfer credit and official transcripts from those colleges. Um, and if you took some time off, so there was a break of enrollment from the time you first started, you took one semester of college and then you took a semester off. I need to know what you did during that semester. Or if you took a year off from high school before you entered college, I need to know what you did during that year. Um, Only because we want to make sure that um, you didn't play any professional sports or accept anything monetary while during that time to mess up or not to mess up, but just to make sure that you're not a professional athlete and never have been. So we want to make sure the talent is, how should I say it?
Legitimate.
Legitimate.
and
That's right.
and we
We want to
have it.
make,
We have it. We've had professional athletes, I mean, come through, and that we can't allow play because of the eligibility process that they go through with you. And it's important because we could lose our jobs, we could lose our season. It happens all the time if we don't do our due diligence. So
That's correct. We could lose. I mean, you have to have amateur status. That's what I was looking for. We need to make sure you're in amateur status.
yeah,
And if not, then you play, then that whole season is totally gone.
yeah,
Now, if you're a transfer athlete, another thing that's dinged us in the past is if you're a transfer from another college, we need to make sure that we have all your transfer paperwork, meaning your official transcripts. If you signed a letter of intent, an LOI at another college, we need to have that college release you from their program by signing a transfer waiver. Um, and also, I also need to fill out a transfer tracer form, meaning the compliance officer or compliance person from that previous college will have to validate the seasons you played, how many full-time semesters, part-time semesters you played, if you practiced only, played, if you practiced and played, if you received aid, if you received anything, any sort of funding from them as well. So those are that's information that's very critical in determining your eligibility to compete.
it's it's tough work and tedious, and it takes a team of people to really help, and the coaches need to be heavily involved to make sure the process is simplified as much as we can. And it all starts with the student, and if they can go through that process, it's a good thing. So let's talk a little bit about this student athletes that you've worked with. What is your favorite part with working with student athletes?
I think my most favorite part is, um, I'd say, seeing them graduate or move on, transfer to successfully to a four-year college if they don't graduate here. Um, so seeing them, because I know they possess so much talent that a student athlete is able to, they're with that talent and the skills they possess, they're able to juggle such a demanding schedule, from practice to games to study hall to making sure they attend class and making sure they meet the attendance requirements for class, to doing well and studying for those quizzes, turning in homework assignments on time, and just being a successful student athlete. That's one thing I'm passionate about, is working with these student athletes, making sure that they succeed and showing the rest of the student population as well as the campus that our student athletes are important as well. And they have more on their plate than an average student. And so that's something that I encourage. I encourage the success for the student athlete, and that's very rewarding for me to see them graduate.
And I've seen it firsthand. And just a quick story. I remember we had a student. His name was Daniel Dew, and he had to go through a process of take another class. He had graduated, but he had to take a different class to be able to be accepted to Cal State Fullerton. And we went through the process, and timing was difficult. And I know that we brought it to your attention, and you were able to work with others in the Mission of Records to make sure it was able to get on his transcript and be able to get his official transcripts over to Cal State Fullerton in a timely fashion, so he wouldn't miss the deadline to compete that year. And you put a ton of extra time. You worked with a team of people within a Mission of Records to make sure that happened. And if you didn't do that, he wouldn't have played. He would have lost that year of eligibility, which he eventually played 2 years. He's now playing professional soccer in, where's he at? In Asia somewhere. I forgot the name of it, but he's in Asia playing professional soccer. But that would have never happened if you didn't do your due diligence, and that was beyond your job. You just, we appreciate that about you, and you do
Yeah.
you definitely go over and beyond, and we thank you for that.
Yeah, another story that I would like, I mean, another rewarding thing to see is seeing students like that move on to the four-year level. And I think my favorite player to see was when we saw Rio go to Hawaii,
Oh yeah.
and now he's doing his thing, and that's pretty cool to see successful our successful student athletes go on, move on, and just do better, bring do better in the world.
Yeah, so Rio Sugahara played 2 years Hawaii Pacific with a lot of help from you to make sure that process happened and getting those transcripts over and doing it in a way that was accepting by the NCAA and Hawaii Pacific in particular. But he graduated. He's now in Hawaii. He works for an agency to oversee working on sending Japanese kids to America to play soccer, kind of like what he went through. So he's helping with that. So he does recruiting and stuff up there. So yeah, he's very successful in what he's doing, and he has his college degree from Hawaii Pacific, which was a big deal, and it was all paid for. So that was good too. So that's always
good.
important.
That's awesome. See, stories like that. That's what makes this worthwhile.
Yeah, and there's a ton more, and we could take the whole podcast in that
True.
direction, and that's why we just do one a week, so we can keep talking about these stories. So we appreciate that. What would you say for anyone that's coming to Phoenix College, in particular a student athlete? How can they be successful in their experience at Phoenix College?
Just a moment. Um, for a student athlete to come to Phoenix College, make sure that you have all your paperwork in in line. Make sure you meet with the proper people. Make sure you meet with the coach. The coach is the first and foremost most important point of contact you have, because they will tell you what you need, what needs to be done, and then eventually they will point you in a direction of getting admitted, possibly coming to see me. I know I've had coaches come bring their new recruits to come see me, so they know that they have somebody in the admissions department that supports them. I've even had parents come in, have coaches bring parents. But for student athletes, the most important thing is to know, to be responsible about your education, to be able to navigate through your student center once you become a student, and to become familiar with the resources on campus that are here and that can benefit you, whether it be student life, whether it be your instructor, your coach, an administrator, and your academic advisor. We do have one student athlete advisor that is assigned just to student athletes. And so we try to make sure that you're catered to in a different way than a regular student.
Yeah, that's kind of what Jimmy said. Jimmy's it's just have your paperwork. You need your paperwork, so you really got to help the process in that. Last question for you, Jen. Uh,
Sure.
Fondest memory in athletics at PC?
I think the fondest memory I have so far is, um, I'd say, receiving well, actually becoming the student success coach, and also helping a national championship team get to the national championship and actually win. So that
Is
was
it
pretty cool to
men's
see.
basketball or softball?
Men's
Men's
basketball
basketball.
with Coach Matt Gordon
Yeah.
win that championship, and then actually receive a ring. So that was pretty
Oh,
cool. That's
yeah,
my
that'd be
most fondest
amazing.
memory.
No, there's so many memories at Phoenix College, and you're a memory for us, even though you're active with us. You know, we appreciate all the many memories you make every year within athletics, and we appreciate what you do and helping our student athletes and our department stay whole by being eligible. And we appreciate everything you do for us. So thank you so much for coming on. And hold on, after we close up, I want to talk to you a little bit. But
Sure,
um,
no problem.
this is Jenn Nez and Coach Cameron signing out in episode 18.